I was in this master's program, and that's when I became suicidal. Like, I wanted to die. It was the worst it's ever been. I was having, and that's when the panic attacks started. Like, I would have full on panic attacks, and I didn't have health insurance because I had quit my job. And so I called my mom, and I told my mom and dad that I'd been doing sex work, and they were devastated, obviously. But again, still like didn't even have like the emotional capacity to like say, hey, you're better than that. Like, like we love you. Where it was just like, don't want to talk about it. And I said, I'm suicidal. I need to go to the psychiatrist. Like, and I do not have insurance, and I also don't have enough money. And my parents said, we'll pay for you to go. Like, just make an appointment and we will. And that is, I thought, again, this psychiatrist in my mind became person who's going to save me instantly. Like, I was like, this is all I need to do. I just need to
What
go to
did
the
you
psychiatrist.
what did you believe was wrong with you?
Well, I wanted to die. I was having multiple panic attacks a day. I could not get out of bed. Like, I was just like in my people that have not been at that people that have not been that depressed do not like
Yeah, so
I
Molly,
could not leave my bed.
yeah, so that's how you were feeling. Like
Yes.
that, I want to know why you believe, like what you believed might be wrong with you that you would experience all those things.
I'm going to have to email you guys this video because I played it on the podcast before. I took a video of myself. It was like very quickly before I went to the psychiatrist, or maybe afterwards. It was from my depression bed in LA. It makes me cry every time I watch it. It makes me cry thinking about it. But in the video, I just said, like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm so depressed. What is wrong with me? That's what I just kept repeating. So, like, to answer your question, I don't think I could have told you. Like, I just said, I know that I see everyone else like functioning in their life. Like, why can't I function? Like, why can't I just do life? Why do I feel like I want to die? Why does it always feel like, why have I been raped multiple times? Like, what is it about me that is like a target for horrible experiences? Like, I think I just really thought that there was something fundamentally wrong with me as a person.
And we've been listening to your story, and thank you for being so candid and
Yeah, of
open about
course.
what you've been going through. And if I was in a therapy session, I would probably say to you, Molly, I know a lot of things that you've done, or I know a lot of things that have happened to you, but I still don't know you. I don't know who you are. And it seems like this is kind of like a rock bottom. It crashes for you because you don't know who you are.
That's
Your
right.
your your life is almost like this manic jump from relationship to new job to new exciting experience to new possibilities, and there doesn't seem like there's a lot of slowing down for you, and you're just kind of trying to feed this ego uh, that you viewed yourself as is like I am, my success, who I am as a person, who I am as a human being is really based on other people's reaction to me, how
That's
they
right.
feel about me.
Yeah, it makes me very emotional because also, like, no one ever said that to me. And I think that that would have helped me a lot. And I found myself in that psychiatrist's office, and this is what I do. Like, I think I do what a lot of people do, and I had many of my listeners have emailed me about this. You find yourself online Googling, what's wrong with me, and of course, what popped up: borderline personality disorder.
Yeah.
And when I read all of the symptoms and signs, like chronic feelings of emptiness, suicidal ideation, splitting, all these things, which arguably we could say society is struggling with it en masse right now. But I thought, that's it. That's what's wrong with me. And I grabbed onto that label, and
Can I, just for
yeah,
our listening audience, if I can
yeah,
just kind of go over some of the other criteria that
yes,
is used for this diagnosis? Kind of chaotic interpersonal relationships, unstable interpersonal relationships,
check.
identity disturbance, um, chronic feelings of emptiness are
Yeah,
are a big one. And I can just see what you're trying to fill that void
that's right.
with attention, or the lip injections are one of those things that just kind of stands out. Like, I
Yep.
need to change how I look, and that is my value.
Yes, that's what it was. And now, and that's a whole nother thing, but the spiritual starvation, right? Because I didn't have a sense of meaning. I didn't have a sense of like a sense of being what I say on the podcast of like being part of this fabric of something bigger than me. I didn't have that. And I think that was a huge part of my suffering. Because if I would have had the sense of integral spirituality that I do now, I wouldn't have been feeling that way, nor would I have gone down any of the paths that I did. But now I understand the purpose of that. When I was found myself in that psychiatrist's office and I told him, of course, he's like, so what brings you here today? I told him about what was going on, what had happened in my life, as much as you can in a 15-minute psychiatrist appointment, which is all you get. And he was, again, outwardly very sweet, very nice, and I told him, I know that I have, which I don't even use that phrase anymore. I have BPD. I looked it up. I have all the criteria. I printed it out and I was like, this is it. Like, this is me. And he said,
what did that mean to you? Was that like an identity then at that point?
100%.
Like, this is who I am. I was born this way.
Well, I don't even know if I even got that far. All I knew is that I just wanted an answer. If I find out what's wrong, I can get a medication for this and I can like get out of here and start being normal. Like that's all I couldn't even think about it that far. I just didn't know. And that's the average everyday person
Yeah,
because
and
we
you're
go
just
to
ripe
these people.
To be taken advantage of.
Yes.
And an identity becomes shaped through this.
That's right.
I have borderline personality disorder. I am BPD.
Yes. And so this guy looks at me and he goes, you don't have BPD. Trust me. You do not want borderline personality disorder because it's incurable. And in my mind, I went, what? And now I know that there's so many bullshittery of that we could unpack for a whole episode. But he said, it's incurable. And I'm like, he goes, I think more what you have, like what you're showing traits of is, and he said, you're too high functioning to have BPD. And in my mind, I'm like, bro, so I am not functioning.
Let me guess the diagnosis. Bipolar 2.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Good job, doctor. Yeah. He said.
That's what they're going to assign to anyone who's experiencing high levels of emotion dysregulation, regardless of context.
He said, not only do you not have BPD because you're too high functioning, it's incurable. We're going to treat you for bipolar 2 because it's very treatable with mood stabilizers. And you want to know what I felt in that moment? Oh, thank God I don't have this incurable personality disorder.
Yeah.
And 2, thank God there's this medication that can fix me. So he put me on Lamictal. Okay. And you probably know about Lamictal. And if you are someone who's taken Lamictal, that there is this reaction that you can get from Lamictal that is very scary and dangerous, but it's rare, but you can get if the doctor basically told me, be careful, be on the lookout for, this itching or skin reactions, because if so, then we need to immediately get you blood work and make sure that your liver enzymes aren't elevated, because if they are, we need to take you off of it immediately. But don't worry, there's lots of other medications we can try. And so I started getting the rash. And of course, immediately I'm like, holy shit. I go to my doctor at UCLA. He does blood work. And my doctor, by the way, was the sweetest person. And he is the only person that I met with that basically was now looking back, he was going, why are you on this? Like, what? He asked me what happened to me. And he kind of alluded to hey, you've been through a lot. Are you okay? But he told me you need to immediately get off this because it's dangerous for you're having this reaction. It could threaten your life, where you need to stop taking this now. Went back to my psychiatrist. Let's just say that I got another job. So I was able to have health insurance. So I was able to go see this psychiatrist more regularly. And by the time I was done, I was on Vyvanse, Buspar, another SSRI, Xanax, and Seroquel. They were antipsychotic. So I'm saying I went through 5 different medications.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is way too typical. So, it's new drug, up the dose, reaction,
That's
new
right.
drug, add on this, give this for the side effects of this drug.
Yep.
Oh, wait, now you have ADHD. Let me just keep adding diagnoses until you are in absolute hell.
Yep. And he gave me Xanax, okay, because I will say, Xanax stopped my panic attacks Thank God for it, because actually, like, I needed it for a little bit. I thought at the time, like, because I didn't have any other supports, you know, I didn't have any, no one was giving me any other like breathing techniques or anything like that. So Xanax, when I took it, stopped my panic attacks, but my doctor never told me about the proper use of Xanax. So I was splitting them in half. I was taking one every like 5 hours. And so the next time that I went back to my psychiatrist, I was like, I need a refill of Xanax. And he goes,
Yeah.
why do you need Xanax? I was like, well, he goes, how often have you been taking it? And I went, well, like every 5 hours. He's like, don't do that. I'm like, you didn't tell me not to do that. You said to take it as needed. And he goes, only when you're panicking. I'm like, I'm always panicking.
Yeah, and I mean, it doesn't. The whole idea doesn't even necessarily make sense because, first of all, that drug is going to create you're dependent on a benzodiazepine, and so the idea of panic is different for you, right? A panic attack, you feel like you're dying. A lot of people go to the
Yes.
hospital, and then there's
Yes.
high level emotional intensity, which
Right.
isn't necessarily panic, but
Yes.
we label it that way. I'm panicking. I'm really anxious. I'm really upset. And let me go
Yep.
take a Xanax. And now you're learning that whenever I feel an emotion that is uncomfortable and that's distressing, or when I feel overwhelmed, I can
need to
turn to
eliminate
this
it.
powerful drug.
Yep.
And it is very powerful. Benzodiazepines are very powerful. It'll calm you down immediately until you need more.
Zaz is very naturally a spiritually inclined person, but so spiritually inclined that he was never attracted to any religion because he's just a mystic in his mind. He sees it as all the same. And so Zaz has this like inner center. And he always said, and I'm trying to think of the best way now in retrospect, he said, I knew who you were and I could clearly see what was the trauma and what was the you. And I thought, like, let's just wait this out because let's see how this plays out. Like, I think that she's going to figure this out.
Yeah. So you labeled yourself as crazy, but that's not how he sees you.
No.
He observes you for you.
Yes.
Right. He sees you who you are outside of your reactions.
Yes. And Zaz is an interesting person because he watched I hate the phrase spiritual awakening because I think it's been co-opted and turned into this like new age nonsense. And it's a shame. But Zaz witnessed my spiritual awakening. It is kind of like, so he said one day, all these pills, he's just like, Mollie, look, I support you no matter what. But he's like, when I look in our fridge and I see, because we had a like tiny studio apartment, I just shoved all my meds in the fridge. And he's like, every time I open the fridge, like I see these orange bottles, and I think, you are not crazy. Is there a point where you won't be on them, or are you going to be on them your whole life? And I really want to say, because for your listeners, it's not like he was controlling me. It's not like there was a care there. And he goes, look, I support you. Do what you need to do. But when I see this, it makes me concerned, you know? Immediately I thought, oh, yeah, like, am I really going to be on these forever? Then the universe made the decision for me. I lost my job. I found myself at the pharmacy. I found out that the meds that I was paying only like $4 for, I was going to have the bill was 800 something dollars for my refill. And I thought, and it was right there to them. I looked at the person and I said, well, I guess I'm not getting them today.